Hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Here we go.
Hola, hola.
Hola, hola. ¿Qué más, Fernando?
Aquí estamos ya listos.
Qué bien, qué bien. Gracias por apartar un tiempo. Y,
Hombre, al contrario, gracias a ti.
no, hombre, ya era hora que tocaba lanzar este conocimiento a los que quieran escuchar, ¿no?
Sí, así es.
Y va a ser, hello, Willa. Oh, that's Spencer, sorry.
Yes, I think he's a meter.
Let's do unmute. Okay, good. Hi, Spencer.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hello, Tomas. Doing well, doing well.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Tomas, thank you so much for
Hey there.
staying up at the wee hours over there in Slovenia. I promised I didn't schedule it to make you stay awake.
I took a nap and I woke up now. It's 1
Oh
a.m.
man,
So
that's dedication. That's dedication.
What time is it there?
1 a.m.
Oh, God. It is kind of late.
Dedication. Definitely appreciate that, and dedication pays off. Okay, so I will not be sharing my video, my camera today. I'm situated in my living room, so I don't have those bright lights on my face, and I'm just sitting here comfortably next to the fireplace. I just lit up the fireplace because it's cold here in Florida today. So just wanted to make it a little cozy and get it rolling. It looks like there's only a few of us, but it's all good. It's all good. We'll share the recording when this is all said and done. Great. So today for part 3, as we move along, the last segment of this mobile wallet intro, there are some topics that are not specific of the software, of the mechanics, of the functionality, but it's related more to how to get clients, right? So let me go to my notes here. Okay, great. So what I'm going to share is how I have learned. Obviously, there are different ways, but this is how I've learned. And I want to cover how to get clients pumped about mobile wallet. Then I want to share how to measure your success inside of the program. There's different programs, so there are different KPIs, different key performance indicators, and supporting tools. So this one's probably going to be a bit shorter than the last two. But first, I want to ask you guys here, do you have any question regarding some of the content that we covered the first 2 sessions? And I presume there are some questions, so take your time, don't be modest, don't be shy, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So I was able to get into a mobile wallet. I'm still waiting for the pass type ID from Robin, but I was playing with the software already. And so one question that I had is if I'm going to be using, well, the first one that I'm going to be building is going to be for a restaurant. Should I use the coupon or the store card pass style?
Good question.
Which one do you use?
Good question. So for restaurants, hi Veronica, thanks for joining us. For restaurants,
Hello.
I will go ahead and share my screen here because I want to be clear about this. Oh, have it open. Give me 1 second. So before I answer that question, talk to me a little bit about the purpose, the functionality that you envision with what you have already gathered about the mobile wallet software, the functionality, etc. And you as a restaurant owner, because those of you who don't know, Fernando is also the owner of a restaurant. So he knows and he perceives the restaurant's needs like no other. So what do you envision the mobile wallet software solving or enhancing?
Well, right now, what I'm doing right now, of course, I'm using ManyChat, and I'm doing campaigns to bring new customers. So when the customer gets to the restaurant, this is for the campaign. When the customer gets to the restaurant, they have the coupon, if you can say it, in ManyChat, but I mean, well, in Messenger, they have to click redeem, and then they have to input the amount of the check, and then all that goes into Google Sheets, and I know when they came, how much they spent, what offer they used, and all that. I would like to be able, instead of them clicking redeem and them having to input the total and all that, to have mobile wallet, and maybe the server can scan the code or scan the wallet pass, and just the server can type how much was it, and that's it. I just want to make it a little bit easier in that part for the customer. And then that's to bring new customers. Those are the campaigns that I'm doing. For the broadcast, what I'm doing is to retarget the customers that I already have there, which I already have their info, their phone number and email. Of course, I do send texts and I send emails to those customers. But at the end, it's the same process. When they come into the restaurant, they have a smaller offer, and I would like them to bring the pass and be able to just scan the code and then input the total amount of the check, and all that goes into Google Sheets or whatever CRM that I'm going to be using. And of course, I want to bypass that 24-hour rule.
Sure thing. Gotcha. So I understand the functionality that you currently have and what you are trying to achieve. That's very straightforward. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to illustrate a couple of things, because there is no right or wrong really when choosing a mobile wallet template for a restaurant. That's in my estimation, right? So, and I know so because for the longest, I've been using the stamp card loyalty, which is probably the most basic of the templates to install, and the functionality is also, to me, it's pretty basic. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. All right. Wallet. Okay. So this is an actual program for a client that's live. It's been live for a couple of years. And the program that I chose when I configured this a couple of years ago was the stamp card program.
It looks like the screen is somehow like cut what you are sharing,
Oh, is it?
or it's only my view.
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
you're
I
right.
can't see it properly either.
Okay, let me stop sharing. And so I did something funky here. Something funky. All right. Here we go.
Now it's clear everything. Thanks.
Thanks, Tomas. Appreciate that. So you can already tell I'm not the most technical person in the box. So anyway, this is the mobile wallet program for loyalty for this restaurant client that some of you have read about or heard me talking about repeatedly. Second. Okay. So for this client or for every restaurant, I use the stamp card loyalty, which, as you can see, is in this case, you need 10 stamps to get that offer, whatever offer that's going to be. We always like to have a juicy price. I call it an offer. When people complete the 10 stamps, and to get one stamp, they need to make a purchase of X amount or more, right? So it's not like they can come and order a taco or two and get a stamp. So Dano, who probably has more restaurant clients than I do, pretty sure he does, he chose to go with a different template, right? And I found that different, right? It wasn't wrong. It didn't make mine obsolete. It just, he wanted more functionality. He wanted a more robust program, right? What he chose doesn't have this one element that I find very attractive for restaurant clients. So right here on your left-hand menu, you see offers, right? And when you click on that, you're going to see sort of the same mobile wallet element, except with a different color, right? There's no stamps. There's actually a functionality that doesn't exist in the template that Dano is using because it's just different. So when a customer gets that 10th stamp verified, right? That mobile wallet pass that was green turns into this color, right? Automatically, right? It catches people's attention. It changed, and now the person becomes excited. What did I win? What did I get? When am I going to come here and come here with more friends? Whatever, right? So this one functionality, it's not present in other more robust templates, right? So Dano is using the loyalty, quote unquote, with a different purpose. So he is not doing the stamps, he's doing the points per dollar spent, right? Which requires more formulas, it requires more attention to detail, and potentially there could be more ways or more opportunities to mess it up, right? Just like anything. But doesn't mean that it's wrong, or at first I saw it as overkill, because that would be the template that I would use for an e-commerce store, right? However, I didn't see his clients' needs as well as he saw it. So it's a matter of understanding the needs of the client and how we're going to either solve those needs or enhance the average order value, right? Even though it's a restaurant, we want to enhance that average order value and create a customer that, because of this participation, is going to come back and come back with friends, right? So that was the long answer to your question, Fernando.
Okay, yes.
So because you wanted to add, you wanted to get the total amount spent, for what reason? Just for record keeping?
Yes, and that way I can tell if I get a restaurant as a customer, I can tell them, hey, it is worth to have me. You know what I'm saying? Because
Sure.
this is what I'm bringing to you. I can do a report with all the sales that I have brought to
Sure.
that restaurant.
Sure
And-
thing.
and-
That's one way of doing it. That's definitely
Mhm.
one way of doing it. So you're not validating every dollar spent with points. You're
No.
okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. I know I want to skip something, but I want to jump right into this because it's very relevant. And at the beginning of the pandemic, wow, I was going to say last year, but it's actually 2 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. We had I'm still sharing, right? Yes.
Yes.
We still do, a Trello board that was strictly for the chat and deliver chatbot. So most of these functions are already have been developed. And at the beginning, we intended to create menus for a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, with all the variants and options, etc., inside of ManyChat, with galleries and, you know, all that good stuff. And we quickly found that it was going to be way too cumbersome, way too many opportunities to mess it up, right? So then we became acquainted with this platform, and the game changed. The name of the platform is not restaurantlogin.com. That is just a generic domain that that is used for this white label solution. I'm gonna quit this one because this one's fairly new. I'm gonna open the other client's account.
I've been playing with that too. I'm not using it though, but I've been playing with that.
Gotcha. So the name of this platform is or was Gloria Foods, right? Gloria Foods. And a few months ago, a huge company called, shoot, I forgot. It's not Cisco. Well, one of these big tech companies acquired it. And I'm speculating right now, but I think it's because this company saw that there is opportunity in the way that the restaurants had to somehow become digital, right? Not become digital, but add that digital flavor, pun intended, right? So just like Shopify also launched their own point of sale hardware for restaurants, right? So I think that these big companies are seeing a lot of value there. And so they probably left it the same name, I don't know, but it got acquired by, shoot, it's bothering me now. It'll come back to me. Anyway, so by us introducing this to the restaurant automation that we had already started, it facilitated so many things, right? For once, we took out the menu, or the limited menu, because we called it the express menu. That menu that we were able to put on ManyChat, it wasn't complete. It wasn't.
Oracle is the one.
Oracle, thank you. Yes, Oracle. Jeez. So we were able to take that limited menu from ManyChat and actually put the entire menu with all of the variants and options that could exist right here. So with this platform, not only you could add the menu, but you could add the payment gateway, right? You could add the pixel. You could add sales reports, or you can extract sales reports at the end of the month, like we do for, well, like my assistant does for his clients, right? And we're able to dissect it in different ways, right? So I don't want to go too much in depth on this platform, but this allowed us to have ManyChat automate a very short conversation and then send them to the actual menu. And this is how it looks on the end users end. Basically, that platform creates a very nice, let me log into that's myself, a button where when people hit start order, it takes them straight into that menu. Outside of ManyChat, outside of Messenger, just right here where people can place an order, lunch number 3, add to cart, huevos con chorizo, add to cart, and then pay for it right there, right? So we found that this shortens the some of the operations that need to take place inside of that restaurant, right? Restaurants at some point maybe still are short staffed, right? They were operating minimal capacity, right? So when people came for their orders, they still had to make a line or wait for someone to become available so they can pay for their order. Not anymore through here. People were able to pay right there on a desktop or on their mobile device. Now on their mobile device, whether you have Android or an iPhone, you could select to pay with one of your debit cards, credit cards, but also Apple Pay and Google Pay. So that added, a little bit of flair in just that very crucial part of the operations, which is collect the money, right? Along with everything else that this platform has. And I will make a note to maybe do a couple of sessions on Gloria Foods, because it has been really an addition to that specific clientele, right? I don't want to build these menus inside of ManyChat. In fact, I don't even want to build them on here because it's very repetitive work, right? The prices, the variance, etc. So Gloria Food, you can send them $30 and they'll do it for you. Boom. Obviously, you got to have a template or a hard copy or a PDF of that menu, and they'll go ahead and they'll digitize it, right? They'll use some stock photos, and then you can edit them if you want to. I have a client who's very picky. He's like, those are not my tacos. Get them out of there. Put my real photos. And I have another client that doesn't really mind having generic stock photos of tacos. So the onboarding process is also very short as compared to how it used to be. So I will add that as one of the supporting tools. Just wanted to highlight that, Fernando, because I know that that is the, what you have in mind is to enhance those operations inside of your restaurant. And maybe you hadn't heard about this.
Question.
Yeah.
If I have an offer, let's say I don't know, free huevos con chorizo or something like that, in the purchase of X amount of dollars or more, would I be able to, how would it work in Gloria Foods to do it in the platform that I'm using right now? I can't issue that kind of coupon. I can do like an X dollar amount off or something like that, but I cannot say like I'm going to give you this item for free if you purchase this amount of dollars. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I'm trying to solve that in my head right now. Is this? And from the top of my head, they could be more than one ways that you could do this. Some of which are kind of primitive, if you ask me.
Okay.
And just like everything, guys, let me illustrate this once again. Things begin a little bit messy and and it evolves, right? Just like every software, every operation inside of a business, right? You optimize that as you go, right? So I know we're in the automation space and we want to automate, practically everything. Sometimes the ideas or the solutions don't come, in our space right away until maybe somebody shares something with us, or maybe we discover it on our own. The way you can add that free item with the purchase of X on this platform, I'm not sure if there is actually. Let's just say that there isn't.
Yeah,
Because
I can look for it. I mean,
I know they have things that I don't implement, like the offers that the platform suggests. I don't really pay attention to those. So maybe if you dig a little into that, there could be a way to subtract the price of that item. Although if you don't discover that, you could deduct it at the point of sale, by letting your staff know this specific promo going on for this month or whatever, and take it from there. Maybe one of your staff members are like, wait a second, Fernando, why are we doing this way, right? Sometimes it takes somebody, with the boots on the ground to highlight how things can be optimized. So sorry that I didn't have a very practical function inside of Gloria Foods to solve that. But let me know when you find that. I normally don't have that type of promos in for restaurant clients. I do have other types. They're more generic. But yeah, my brain wants to answer this, but it's just
no, don't worry. Don't worry, that's right. Yeah. And just so you know, Spencer has a question in the chat.
Okay, let me check the chat too. Spencer, Tomas, Veronica, any questions you may have? Want to cover any questions for the first two sessions? And I know that maybe some of you didn't attend.
I don't have any. Thanks, no.
Okay.
I just had one about Gloria Foods and setting that up. Is that something that you set up with like your own login details? You set up the account, build the menu for them, and then you like give them those details, or do you keep it all yourself? And that's just something you offer. It's like white label to them.
So good question. First, this platform is completely free. Believe it or not, completely free. How do they make their money? They have different add-ons that are very affordable. For instance, for the payment gateway, I believe it's $9, right? For there's a few more. Payment gateway. Jeez, I'm like brain dead today. They're like $20, $25, $9 for different functions that I don't even unlock the first month, right? So it's cost effective for my client and fully functional, right? The logins, yeah, I would create a new account, right? Or actually, because this is a solution that was introduced to us by David and Philippe, we could actually go to the ManyChat, to the MME chatbot, engage the bot there, and add a new restaurant, right? Let's go through those motions real quick. So, why are you not clicking? Do I have to click this? Okay. Messenger marketing experts, the fan page. Engage with the bot. And I believe the keyword here is hashtag add restaurant. Damn, why is that so slow? Maybe it was add restaurant without the hashtag. I promise there is a keyword that I'm not remembering right now that triggers the adding of a new restaurant inside of Gloria Foods, right? And once you enter the information for the restaurant, a new account is automatically created inside of the platform so that you can go inside and start customizing it. I do give the login information to my clients or to the person in their team who's assigned. Why? Because sometimes they have price changes, right? And I learned that the hard way, that they depended on me when it came to editing those prices. So I said, you know what, guys, here's the login. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and you can try that, and then try to reach me if you are not successful. So that was one of the reasons my restaurant clients needed to get inside of the platform. No other reason, not for reporting, not for anything really, just for those prices. So I tend to be fully transparent with login information and passwords. That way, if I tell them this, if I get abducted by aliens, they have access to their stuff, right? So when I say that, they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's a little bit of my intricacies, but I don't approve, or I don't when I hear that a marketer is off this a given team, and that person hijacks an account, a ClickFunnels account or whatever, because it's not ethical, so I create a document with all the access to everything that they need. And aliens probably would put me back on Earth if they abducted me, because I probably annoy them. So that is a little bit of a detour, because restaurants, guys, they're not, for me, they're not the biggest clients, or they're not the majority of my clients, but I hold a sentimental commitment, I think, to restaurants. And I'm going to share with you why. When my brother and I first came to the United States. I was 13 years old. He was 7. My mother, who had a nice office job in Colombia, when we came here, she had to wait tables. She was a waitress. And every single day for about 11 years, we saw her, or I saw her, come home from work and count her tips, right? That was like religiously, right? That's how she raised us for 11 days. 11 years as a single mom, right? So when the pandemic happened, I believe there was I think a commercial or something like that about restaurants, and I became very, very concerned and very, compassionate for these owners, for these waiters and waitresses, because I was also a waiter, when I was 16, 17 years old. And I waited tables at different establishments, right? So I was very concerned. And when our team decided to build this automation for restaurants, we all chipped in to some of the solutions that are now active. Where did my Trello card go? Are now active inside of that automation, or that solution, I should say. So, and now that I am seeing something here, Fernando, I might add you to this Trello card. I see coupon codes generator here. Oh, okay, so that's a feature request. It hasn't been developed, or that I know, but somebody had a similar idea than as you did. But it didn't start like this. It started with just a few options, a few functions, right? And it grew to the point that we were able to pre-populate the location of a person versus the location of the restaurant, and add on a delivery fee depending on that distance, right? We don't do deliveries at my restaurants. They still do Uber Eats, DoorDash, and all that jazz, which, it's convenient, but they don't have their own in-house delivery staff. Anyway, so does that answer the question you had?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure. Moving along. Veronica, tell me a little bit about the clients that you love working with, and maybe you have seen something that caught your attention. That's why you're here. I want to be inclusive. Since it's a small group, I can talk about restaurants. I can talk, I know that Tomas wants to do e-commerce and conferences. But and Spencer also does restaurants. But Veronica, I'm not sure how you want to implement this, or what kind of clients do you have? Would you
So at the moment, I'm in the phase of transitioning from a niche that I was previously serving into e-commerce. And so at this point, I do not have any active clients yet, which will hopefully change soon. And so for me, it's just generally what are the best applications for mobile wallet for e-commerce, so that I know how to really upsell for that service once I have an e-com client. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer more standard services, and then chat automation and mobile wallet as an add-on. And so for me, it's important to really get a good understanding of how it works and what some good applications are.
Got it. Fair enough. Thank you for sharing your intention with approaching a new niche, one that's, in my estimation, very, very lucrative. E-commerce.
Yes.
E-commerce is
And
not
pandemic
going-
safe.
Yes, yes. So I also liked how you want to get your foot in the door by introducing some more basic services and then recommending something more automated, something more advanced. Right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of e-commerce store owners, they know what Google ads are, they know what Facebook and Instagram ads are, but chat automation, like really all the facets that you can do, which is not just there is an annoying little pop-up on the website and it doesn't help me, because that's generally the kind of idea that a lot of people have around chat automation, because it's something that they don't really understand. So for me, as you said, I wanted to get the foot in the door, and then once I have established that report with a client offering other services, then it's easier, I guess, to say, hey, if you want to get to the next level, this is what we recommend you do next, including mobile wallet then for loyalty and anything else that makes sense to use mobile wallet for.
Excellent, excellent. So that allows us to segue very, very beautifully into what I want to cover about how to get clients pumped, excited about mobile wallet, right? So how many of you know that it's easier to upsell an existing client than to go out and get a new one, right? We learned that either
It's
by
definitely easier to upsell an existing one.
Sure, sure. And we probably all learned that either through theory or, the hard way, right? So mobile wallet is probably not, in my experience, right? So this is not a blanket statement. In my experience, it hasn't been a product or an offering that is leading the conversation, right? When I want to get a new client, I also keep it super simple, and I lost opportunities because I was talking my ass off and I was talking about automation and geofence notifications and click-through rates and all that jazz. And my restaurant prospects, they were not understanding what I was saying, right? They didn't care, right? So I learned to simplify it, to speak their language, and that approach worked a lot better than me trying to prove myself as I know something that they didn't, and that just didn't work, right? So mobile wallet has been introduced practically to every single client that I have implemented it with, except the conferences. That one is an exception. Towards maybe after month 2 or 3, and I'll tell you why. Month 1 is, you're adjusting the operations of the restaurant with yours, and some of these restaurant owners are slow at getting you the Shopify secret key so that you can enhance their payment gateway, etc. So they're, for the most part, not that engaged in your onboarding, right? So I learned patience and compassion with these folks because they were taught to run their business probably, for generations. And now the pandemic hit, and now they weren't used to, all these tools and all these metrics, etc. So I've been practicing patience. And so I know that the first month you're adjusting things, maybe, they want to edit some things. So you might get some people on that spreadsheet with first names, last names, phone numbers, etc. But it's probably not going to be mind-blowing, right? The second month, on by day 60, you should have a significant list of people who came into the restaurant, and you have now their first name and last name and all the other information that you were able to capture from them. Restaurant clients probably have never seen that before, right? They've never seen, a list of names of the people who read their ad in the magazine or on the radio, whatever. They don't, right? Now you are becoming, by reporting at least these spreadsheets, maybe the sales are not great, but you have the actual names and last names of people. That becomes very valuable for restaurant owners, right? By month 3, I usually, after that, I usually add a very simple but effective promo for restaurants. It's either birthday campaigns or review campaigns, right? For the majority is birthday campaigns. Why? Because as Mackenzie said it the other day in a clubhouse room, birthday campaigns for restaurants are the offers or the campaigns that keep on giving. And I'll tell you why. Because every day it's somebody's birthday, right? So chances are that almost every day could be somebody's birthday who is directly associated with that restaurant, right? So if I decided to celebrate a special occasion in a restaurant, in an establishment, I'm probably not going to go there by myself. I'm probably going to bring some friends, right? So that very behavior makes birthday campaigns very, very lucrative. You don't have to create it every single month. You don't have to create it every single time that you decide to activate it. You create it once and that's it. So by month 3, around day 90, I introduce loyalty, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but there first needs to be a client base or sales before trying to create loyalty, right? Otherwise, right, I don't think that makes too much sense, either in English or in Spanish, right? There's no clients, or there's not loyalty, right? So by day 90, day 90 or the month 3, I introduce this, and guess what? It's probably the second or third time that I'm introducing an upsell for my restaurant client who found it very, very convenient to sign up with DM Digital because they saw a package that was affordable, and I'm getting better at this presentation. So they signed up, right? And with the conversation that every month I would offer something that they may take or they may not take, right? It's totally optional, right? So birthday campaigns they made sense to the restaurant owner. Like, yeah, go for it. How much is this gonna cost? X. Okay. Sometimes I didn't even charge for that because, you know, I want to lead with value, right? By the next month, now you have a list of customers. And then by next month, when you introduce something, they're going to have their mind open and their wallet open, not their wallet, their checkbook, to anticipate that what you bring to the table every month is, say, not just an idea, not just an upsell, but an upserve, right? We're continuing to serve these clients in a very specific way. So mobile wallet, or loyalty, I should say, because it's not really, I'm not really promoting mobile wallet to restaurant clients. They're going to be like, what the hell is that? Promoting loyalty, right? They, for the most part, they understand what that is. And as we reviewed on the previous recording, it's more than a you know, marketing tactic. You know, it has a specific definition, and this is mine. Loyalty is to create a sentiment of being part of something greater than yourself. In this case, a group of preferred customers or VIP people, or that have this credential, this pass in their wallet, in their phones, actually, and that automatically gives them a sense of belonging, right? Not only that, that's actually measurable, right? And the way we present loyalty in a measurable way is, as I said before, enhance average order value and lifetime value. You enhance those two metrics out of all the metrics you can possibly think of. You enhance those two, and the bottom line is going to be better each time, right? So in that conversation on month 3, the conversation is about loyalty, about retention, about list building, about segmenting, about understanding the customer's preferences so well that they probably wouldn't been able to do it before with their primitive systems, right? Maybe a few people you recognize Fernando. Oh yeah, that's the guy who always orders. You know, I always order, this is me, I always order mixed fajitas with flour tortillas, always. Like, I don't order anything else. I always want to rate a new, either a new cook, a new restaurant. I want to be able to compare. And I always order that because that's my preference. So to anticipate a few people's preferences could be done, but at scale, now we're talking, right? Now we're talking. Now remember, I'm still sharing. The geofenced push notifications that we can put anywhere around the world. And if people who are pass holders reach a perimeter around that location, they'll receive a push notification automatically, right? We all know that. But how many different locations can we put around the world for one local establishment, right? Probably not too many that's going to be relevant, right? Guess what? We add the address of the actual restaurant, and when people are parking or looking for parking or walking into the restaurant, or just, you know, in the waiting area, if they have to wait, they'll get a push notification saying something. Welcome again to La Katrina. Flip the back of the pass and start looking at our menu, right? People love that. It doesn't have to be that. It could be just any greeting, any acknowledgement that they are there, right? So even before they sit on the table and they have an interaction with a staff member, they had an interaction with that well thought out greeting in their language, right? With a little emoji, right? In their phones, right? That has a tremendous impact, tremendous. In my demos that I've built throughout the years, sometimes of course, I ask my friends and family to test this and test that, see if it works before I put it out. And I've added my address, my home address to some of these demos. And sometimes where my friends come back to visit me, they get a push notification that I created years ago. And it, just blows my mind that I'm able to do that, it's a way of whatever, turning to like an entertainment thing, because the push notification was probably something ridiculous. But for clients as well, right? So for e-commerce, let's dive into the e-commerce application of loyalty and mobile wallet. The formula or the intent is practically the same, right? We want to improve average order value and lifetime value, right? But how do we do that exactly, right? If it's not by raising our prices, which might not have the right impact, we use certain conditions of that loyalty program so that people come back and they come back ready to spend more, right? And we don't have to go that far to start thinking about how we all, some way or another, are part of a loyalty program out there, one way or another, right? And how we probably have perceived when we go on a trip, on an airline, or a hotel, right? That there's a group of people that may have access to an upgrade, to a free upgrade, right? First class, if it's available, or an upgrade in their hotel room, right? Some people qualify for these perks, and maybe we have noticed that, hey, I'm not part of that group. How do I become part of that group, right? We want to be part, we want to be treated with an extra level of gratitude for being there, right? That makes us, in turn, even more grateful. I mean, when they upgrade my anything, I'm grateful. I love it. Who doesn't, right? So what that creates is people coming back or even spending more than what they intended, right? We've all been there. We have a certain budget thought out for X, for this vacation, or for this whatever. And something that touched our heart or our emotions made us spend more. Like, oh, what the heck? YOLO, right? We do that all the time. So keep those behaviors very, very in front of you. And we deal with automation, and we become sometimes almost a bit detached from the sentiment of the consumer, right? We sometimes make these conversations inside of the bot very robotic, right? Um, keep in mind that at the end of that screen, there's another human being with emotions, with fears, with dreams, with all these emotions. So try to always touch on those emotions, because we are beings that make purchase decisions based on emotions, not much on logic, right? I wish it was logic, but it's not. It's emotions. So with the bots, you're going to find ways to enhance that, and your client is going to love it, because you're going to become so in tune with what you're building and what you're presenting, and then how you're measuring, which we're going to get into in a short moment. You're going to see what's working, what's not working so well, and how to enhance it. I tell my restaurant clients that this program really is an engine that it's comparable to an 8-cylinder engine. Now, for those of you who don't know much about engines of a car, an 8-cylinder engine is a big one. You know, it's one of a truck, right? Or a Ford Mustang, a sports car. It's an 8-cylinder, it's a monster, right? But right now, we're only running on 2-3 cylinders. When you tell that to a client, you know, it almost helps them anticipate that there's more, and that they have to unlock more, and that you can unlock more at the right time, right? So you let them know this is this is more complex and more advanced than what it seems right now. But right now, we're going to unlock certain things, right? So let's see, where was I? So for e-commerce, those same metrics apply: average order value and lifetime value, right? But it's not always the month 3. It's not always stamp card. It's never really stamp card. Stamp card is mostly for the brick and mortar stores, right? There we can give stamps for every time they come and they spend X. For e-commerce, because it's digital and because there's not a practical way that we can scan a pass to provide a stamp, we are matching every dollar spent. We are giving points, so it becomes a multi-tiered program where there are different levels, right? Different milestones. You get 1,000 points accumulated, and you're unlocking bronze or silver, and then 5,000 unlocks the next level, whatever that is, as long as it makes sense because they're directly tied to dollars spent. They need to be also reviewed by their internal team to make sure that it makes sense, right? It makes sense, and it's actually enhancing the average order value and not decreasing it. So for e-commerce, also the entry points could be different. For e-commerce, we don't slap a QR code in a magazine ad, because they're not advertising in magazines for the most part. But we have found a way to use ManyChat's automation engine with the integration of Shopify, which has 3 or 4 automations, right? So abandoned cart, abandoned product browse, and a couple other ones that I forget. So we use that, those same mechanics, but instead of sending a message saying, hey, we noticed that you abandoned your cart, come back. We don't send that through Messenger because of the 24-hour rule can, jeopardize our program, our page, our client. We send that communication on a push, right? So when I closed one of the biggest deals last year, it was an e-commerce brand, and I had a feeling, I didn't know exactly, but I had a feeling because this is still such a pain point in our community, right? It's the 24-hour rule. So I found a way to communicate this to Manuel, the owner of this brand, that we were going to do this and that, and we will never come close to touching that 24-hour rule. I knew that was a pain point, and if I illustrated it correctly via a Zoom, and I had a pre-made mobile wallet pass for that brand, even though it wasn't the official one because it was a demo. I wanted the decision makers to go through my sample and actually download and save that sample pass with their company logo on their phone. That became also a very, very crucial part of the process.
That's a great idea then.
And maybe a couple of years from now, we won't have to because people would be more aware of that technology, of that bridge of communication, if you will. But right now, I wanted to make sure that I did the best job that I could do in that few minutes via Zoom to have their decision makers have a mobile wallet pass pre-created, as like at my discretion, so that even if they told me, yeah, we're gonna have to think about it, we're gonna have to have a meeting about it, whatever, I could still send them a push notification to their passes that are already installed in their devices and say something like, hey, are you still thinking about it? Right? Give them the essence, pretty much, of what the end users of this brand would experience, right? Flip the back of the pass and place the order, right? So that became also a marketing tool to close deals, right? I do it for restaurants, I do it for e-commerce brands. I always create a pass, a nice looking one with their logo, in order for them to see it as I intend to. Otherwise, you'll be surprised how many times people sit in front of you and you think they're grasping everything you're saying, and their mind is somewhere else, right? I mean, I do it all the time. Maybe that's why I got in trouble with my previous relationship, but we're thinking about so many things at any given moment. So if I can use that same element I'm trying to promote to close a deal, and you guys know I don't like to say close because that's you're closing. we opened probabilities and possibilities, right? So that's how I've done it. That's how I've done it. In fact, when we closed Manuel's deal, I was super prepared to answer or to justify any rebuttal, any objection. Like I had my computer screen in the center and I had the two other screens on each side, like with tabs open, just in case he was going to say if, and, or but about something. I had it ready. Guys, that was probably the easiest deal I've closed because he saw it as a marketer, Manuel himself. He saw it. He said, build me a proposal and add consulting hours to train my team, right? That helped me understand that, hey, it's not only the build out, it's not only the automation or the the results that I'm selling. It's information. It's information that I'm sharing with others, and someone is willing to ask me to add it to as a billable item in my proposal. So, by the way, that blows my mind every time I think about it because I didn't go to college for this. In fact, I got kicked out of high school twice, same school. It blows my mind that you guys are here listening to me from different parts of the world. It just blows my mind. It just, it empowers me. So I thank you so much for wanting to learn more and to wanting to hear it from me, because there's other people. Well, there's David and Philippe who are teaching this at another level that I recommend. But right now you're spending some time with me on a Sunday, so thank you so much. It really makes me feel good. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Oh, absolutely. In 2018, when I got that educator badge, right? I really took that to heart, right? I really, there was no other time that I had been, remotely part of an educator group, right? I wasn't the worst student in the group, but I just felt that I didn't have either the value to share or that people were interested or that I even had the intention, because some people inside of the program are great, are really technically oriented more than me, but they choose not to share it. They choose not to spend the time and to share the value. So thank you again. Let's see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's a saying that I love, and it goes like, if you're the smartest person in a room, you are in the wrong room.
Yes.
I just love that.
Yeah, that's absolutely 100% right. And sometimes when I was a bit more immature and cocky, I didn't understand that, right? Now I do. I learned something every single day, and if I'm not, I feel like, shoot, I'm missing out on something. Somebody else is learning and I'm not. Let's continue with the how to get clients pumped about wallet or about loyalty. So you lead with loyalty. You lead with the intention of loyalty and the measurable outcomes that you and your client will encounter month in and month out, right? It's almost ridiculous that some brands don't or haven't thought about a way to add loyalty to their customers. And when I say loyalty, it doesn't have to be these mechanics, but others, right? I was in a clubhouse, either in a clubhouse room or a podcast, but somebody said the biggest loyalty program created has been Amazon's Prime. And you actually have to pay for it to be part of it, right? I mean, when you think about it, it's like, wow, that Bezos guy, him and his team, they're geniuses, right? You create a loyalty program, which is free shipping for the entire year, except you have to pay for it. That's one way of seeing it. So as you go about your life, you may encounter either a business that's implementing this loyalty in one way or another, or you see the absence of a program that helps people come back and get excited and spend more and bring their friends, right? And then your solution-driven mind is going to start thinking about how that conversation is going to go. Who is the person to talk to, right? And spend less time explaining, less time talking to the wrong person, and creating solutions, creating solutions. The solution was probably already there, but you brought it to fruition, right? Here's a very interesting statistic that I don't know the exact number for sure, but it's not as important as the overall message here. So when I first saw mobile wallet, I was sitting in the front row at Conversations 2018. That's the very first chatbot conference in the world, right? In the universe, by ManyChat. And I was there on the front row, just learning about ManyChat. I wasn't learning about integrations. I wasn't ready for that. I was taking notes, and Philippe was presenting. And when he presented loyalty programs for these huge worldwide hotel chains and how they use it to get more people in the program and for it to be shareable, et cetera, a couple of things happened. As I'm taking notes, I'm like, man, that's cool, but I don't have access to that, right? I don't know how to access it. I disqualified myself mentally from something like that. Who was I? I was just taking notes. I just came to this conference to decide whether I'm going to take chatbots seriously or not, right? And the very first presentation I saw was this with these big numbers and big results. And I said, you know what, that's great. I just don't have access to it. I might not have said it verbally or mentally exactly like that, but the sentiment was like, oh, that's great, but hopefully it's something easier. I don't know how I disqualified myself, but it wasn't until maybe, I was in September, it wasn't until June of the next year that I made a decision, right? So also the statistic that I wanted to highlight was one of these hotel chains, the Umbrella brand, can't remember much today, acquired another brand of hotel chains. And one of the reasons why this merger or this acquisition was making headlines, literally, there's articles about it. It was because of the billions of dollars, right, that it took right? Uh, and in these reports, in these articles, it was disclosed that a crucial reason why they wanted to move forward was because the hundreds of thousands of members that are existing already in their loyalty program, right? So that held a valuable item on this on the acquisition. It wasn't just the buildings, it wasn't just, you know, the name brand, it wasn't just, you know, maybe even some you know, people from the team, etc., whatever. It was people already knew about this hotel and the perks and the number of people that were part of this. In essence, they brought them over to their brand, right? The loyalty program was a catalyst for this merger. And there are two huge brands that you probably already heard. I just don't want to guess it right now. I'll probably pull it out. It's going to bother me later on tonight and share it. So it's easier for a client to make a decision that you want them to when they're excited, when they are happy with you, when the first thing that may come to mind when they think of you or when they see you is solution driven, idea executor, right? All of that. They welcome you. You even get some free tacos, right? They start to associate you with somebody who knows more than what they even thought you knew. So when you introduce either you know, a program like this one or something else, they're going to have their minds open. They're going to be more receiving than if, for instance, knock on wood, you got their Facebook account shut down, right? I mean, now, I mean, I don't know if you had that experience before, but that could put you in a, you know, in a tight situation there with a client, right? With yourself even. So if you compare those two, I mean, they're very, very drastic comparisons. Like you lost a client's Facebook account because he was, you know, you were in charge, or you are solution driven and you come with solutions that are actionable and measurable every month. That's two different worlds, two different Fernandos, two different Tomases, two different Danny's, two different, you know. I want to be able to stay on the good side of my clients, right? They pay my bills, they help me have a fireplace here next to me, and I want to please the clients that I pick, right? The clients that I lost last year, I did lose clients, and two of them come to mind. I dare say that it wasn't because a performance discrepancy, but it was because they weren't willing to follow the rules. And as a ManyChat educator, Facebook partner, etc., I want to keep it that way. I don't want to have any of my clients' accounts jeopardized. So a client that doesn't follow the rules, I give them a warning, and written and verbal. And if they continue, I have to offboard them. I have to start the offboarding process. Any questions so far?
No, yeah, good.
Okay,
Right
great.
here.
Sweet, sweet.
No question.
Okay. Also, if you're like me, probably some questions will come up after this session, feel free to post it either on my wall or on the group. In the group, probably it would be more of value to everybody. So I do my best to, I just answer vaguely, but to amplify some of the things that that I believe need to be amplified, so it's better understood. Okay, moving along. Measuring the success of your program. Okay, here's where I'm going to share screen because, excuse me, there are different ways to measure outcomes. Some are becoming a bit inaccurate, a bit obsolete because of some changes, and I'll share why in a second. Okay. So obviously, ManyChat is one of the dashboards that we look at in order to help us understand, some things, right? Participation of, people in a certain country, or the language they speak, or, the gender, etc. Basic segmenting ways of measuring that, right? And the success of a loyalty program is pretty much dependent on a lot of these observations that you will be able to contemplate and to act upon, right? For instance, let me go to ManyChat here. So the audience for Natural Slim, this is a wellness brand, it's a worldwide, multinational wellness brand that is very, very popular among women who speak Spanish in the United States who are 50 years or older. That is the profile, the avatar of their client. They don't really advertise to anyone else. They're very, very honed in to who is their client, right? So I probably didn't have to remind you that. You already knew that segmenting and looking at some outcomes at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, whatever, and knowing your customer, the avatar of your customer, you'll be able to know and to gauge whether you're going the right direction or you're missing the mark, right? But there are other ways to measure things at a more granular level. They're not so evident as what we just shared, right? And one of them is because of the past delivery. Let me go ahead and share this so it's a bit more congruent. The past delivery for that brand, for Natural Slim, is a lot different than the past delivery, or the past creation, I should say, of a restaurant. I sometimes mess this up. Is it this one? Yeah. Natural Slim. So this is what the past looks like. This pass is created when a person places an order inside Shopify, right? that is how it's created. And we did that for a few reasons. First of all, ManyChat gives us a tremendous automation engine that sometimes we can successfully use, but not send any message. If you can get your mind around that, at least vaguely, you're one step ahead a lot of bot builders. So what happens inside of the Shopify store for this brand is that natural. So when a person places an order, makes a purchase, that pass, it's being created almost simultaneously inside of mobile wallet. A very customized pass is being created right here. Oops. And it doesn't get delivered via Messenger. Remember, we wanted to stay clear of that annoying, dangerous rule, right? So we needed to deliver it via email. And that is so doable because ManyChat already has the integration with Shopify in order to share those data points, first name, last name, wherever else you want to. But for this pass or for any given pass, we don't need their ordering history. We only need first name, last name, and email address, obviously, phone number. We personalize it, and once that is received by mobile wallet, then we deliver it via ActiveCampaign automation, right? And in that email, whether you're an Android user or an iPhone user, those instructions will come very, very specific, right? Step by step, how to do it. It actually gives you a photo of what you're about to see. So you are, or our end users are beginning to get indoctrinated. They're beginning to see this thing that they probably have never seen or understood, or even are even aware that they can put this gizmo inside of their phones, right? So when they actually are in the process of downloading that pass, they know exactly what to do. And one of the things that people miss, people fall out of this process still, sometimes more than others, it's in your phone, in your device. There, when this appears, there on iPhones, there's a button that says add. Sometimes people ignore it. On Androids, I believe it's down here. I don't have an Android, so I'm not very sure where that is, but it's a different location. So people will be able to read that in their email, very explicit, very visual, right? But not everybody opens the emails, right? Email open rates are terrible, right? So how do we enhance the participation, right? They already placed an order, they're already eligible, they're just not opening that communication. Well, guess what? We send them a text. If we see that, for instance, if we see that Diana here, for instance, has a false value here for installed, then that means a person initiated the pass install, but didn't finish it, right? And it's only 1 or 2 clicks, maybe 3. Right? So some people may fall out of the participation right here. So when this value is not present, we know to send them a reminder, right? And we're not going to send it on email because they already missed it. We'll send it on SMS and text. Obviously, ManyChat has a native solution for the text for SMS in US and Canada only now, but there are third-party tools that will allow you to do that in other countries. So pass delivery on email for e-commerce brands. That is one of the reasons why we need to measure and understand where people are falling off. Either they need a stronger reminder, or maybe our email copy is not clear enough, right? So we have a cool tool that you probably have heard about called Data Quantics, right? On Data Quantics, we can measure and we can illustrate for our own sake and the sake of our teams what we want to, what's relevant to us, right? All the platforms give you a ton of numbers and metrics, and some of these you probably don't use as much, right? And what happens when the brain sees all these numbers and all these charts, and it's, you know, it's repelling, right? It's scary. It's, you know, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to learn that. You know, Google Analytics is probably the most robust data analytics tool. And if it's not, it is the one that I have used. If we could take just a few key metrics to understand if our marketing is being effective or not, that makes the brain more at ease. It makes it happier because it's understanding something. It's understanding how to get better, right? And specifically at what, right? So for that, how does that get translated into, you know, to ManyChat? So for instance, for Natural Slim, and every brand may vary, but here's how we do it for Natural Slim. We create tags, right? Specific tags. And this brand, as you're about to see, has so many tags. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar a year brand, and they have a big marketing team. I'm just one of them. But as you can see, they have so many tags. We needed to keep track of 4 metrics, 4 or 5, and you're about to see what I did in order to, okay, here they are. That's interesting. I had created a little emoji here next to them so I could find them easy, but they're not there no more. So Shopify new customer, right? I needed to measure every new customer that comes in through my program. There might be other customers that come in through other means. I want to measure the success of my initiative, of my build out, of my, you know, long nights and tech calls. I want to showcase these results. I want to showcase the challenges and, you know, the potential solutions when we have a case study, right? That becomes more valuable than just presenting only by theory. So I know that, you know that. So I wanted to keep an eye on new customers. I also, of course, want to keep an eye on returning customers, right? And make sure that those graphs, make sure those numbers are consistently going up, consistently. There's a month or if there's 2 months where, it's kind of stagnant and maybe even dropped, I needed to know why. I needed to know why. So in some instances, that happened because external factors that we had no control over, like a pandemic, or in other instances, it was something that I needed or the team needed to enhance, or something that I needed to bring the attention of the team to a certain metric that I found could be better, but it wasn't, right? So Shopify new customer, Shopify returning customer, Shopify loyalty card reminder, right? So because that's a piece of those mechanics, I wanted to know that number every month. And if that number is dropping, it means that my copy or the copy of it's not my copy. I don't create the copy for this bot. What's his name? Luis in Venezuela, he creates the copy for this bot and for the emails. And he's very good at it, right? So I anticipated this number going down because if we didn't get it right the first time, or we got it, okay, I had a team, or I had a person that knows their audience better than I do, that knows the language that 50-year-old women understands better in Spanish, better than I could have done, right? So that became very crucial as well. Loyalty card install click. Of course, that's a milestone or a conversion, if you will, right? Is that click, although it's not the final conversion. It's not the final click. It's one of them. But I needed to understand how many people initiate that process, how many cards are created, and how many actual passes are installed in people's devices, right? Those numbers, I wish they were all the same, but they're not. Not everyone who comes on top of that mini funnel gets their pass installed, or at least not on the first try, right? So because the delivery it takes place inside of an email, I also needed to have a tag added when people opened that email. And you cannot do that on ManyChat. Well, I guess you can if you're using their native solution. But guess what? I've never used the native solution. For this project, we used Klaviyo. That team had been using Klaviyo. I was more dangerous with ActiveCampaign, but then I needed to adhere to their platform, to their engine, if you will. They already have an engine. I needed to understand how that engine runs and build a solution that is congruent and compatible, not rearrange the wheel, enhance it, make it go faster, if you will. So pass installed, open email. Well, I guess it goes open email and pass install. So that's the sequence, except here, ManyChat puts these two in different order. So as you can see, it's the customer journey or a mini journey when it comes to that participation in loyalty, right? Just think about it as a mini funnel, as a short customer journey that I needed to track. So once I installed my tool that I'm about to, I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's called Data Quantix. And guess what that does? It helps you read, track data beautifully. So
Hey, Danny, just a quick question.
yeah,
Is that oh, what was the name of the software you said? Data Quantix?
yeah.
Is that part of the premium, the platinum membership?
No, Data Quantix is sold separately.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is one thing that is outside of the program. And I don't want to make this a Data Quantix training, but here in Data Quantix, once you understand what you need to measure, you install it, and then you create some rules, right? And those rules are triggered by the following conditions we're about to just highlight real quick. So many rules. Okay, here they are. So Shopify pass install initiated, abandoned cart. I needed to highlight that's my abandoned cart. Those guys are measuring abandoned cart with other campaigns. I needed to highlight that this tag is specifically for mine. There's a brick and mortar store in Orlando for this specific brand. So we also added the tag loyalty subscriber. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is where they're from. So I also want to keep track of, where are people being more receptive to this program, right? Also, that would tell me maybe we need to add some campaigns in some parts of the world, some parts of the country, even where our message is not being heard so clearly and so loud, right? So I needed to understand where people are coming from, specifically for this program. Of course, they opened the email that contained that pass delivery instructions and link, and if the pass was installed, right? So in Data Quantix, so these rules, let me open one of them. Very easy to create, very straightforward. When the tag is applied, you send that data. It's practically a number one, and you just keep adding it, right? You add that one tally to the Data Quantix chart that is titled loyalty card install click, right? It's very, very straightforward. Let me open Data Quantix, and to do so, I need to open an incognito, and it's gonna open mine. Didn't say it. I love it when I work from a new computer, because then my passwords don't get saved and I run in these pickles. So I'll find it real quick. It's important that you guys grasp this, because that which can be measured can be improved. I learned that from my MLM mentors before ManyChat existed. That which can be measured can be improved. If we can't measure it, it's going to be a crapshoot. So go back here to my boards. Why this happens all the time? I don't get it.
And yes, Danny, if you can add me to that Trello board, I would appreciate it.
Sure thing. Sure thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. So for Natural Slim loyalty program, I've created something that helps me be more organized, because otherwise I'll be a mess. And the data quantics password, I just need to get that from here. No, that's not it, actually. Yeah, that's it. TMDG or TM, yep. See, I have different email addresses. Sometimes I get screwed up. So on data quantics, what those rules turn into, they get translated into a more visual format, right? So for this program, it's brand spanking new. We were supposed to launch for Black Friday. Manuel and his team felt that we should not add it to an already successful Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend for the past 3 years, where they're always almost doubled, those results. The last result was almost $1 million in that one weekend. Almost. I think it was by $80,000 that they missed. But that was the conversation before Black Friday. They wanted to reach $1 million in sales, and that became my goal as well. I supported fully that goal. When they decided to put a halt in the program, it's a little bit sad, right? But it wasn't my call. It was an executive call that Manuel and his team made, and we're going to give it live this year, either at the end of the month or at the beginning of February, because if you guys are noticing things about e-commerce, or not just e-commerce, but almost every household in January, our budgets tighten up a little bit, right? We're big spenders, November, December, right? But come January, we're a bit more careful about our spending, right? So that is, in essence, the sentiment that the biggest shopping holiday in the year brings upon us, right?
Actually, tomorrow is Blue Monday.
Tomorrow is Monday indeed.
No, but this is supposed to be the more sad day of the year.
Oh, really?
Of that. Yeah, they named it Blue Monday because it was like it was a marketing campaign. It was the more sad day of the year because it's like just spend all the thing in the money in the holidays in Christmas, all your Christmas, I don't know, New Year's, how to say, purpose for the next year. You already break it up, and you know that you're not gonna follow up. So it's this sad day of the year. So makes sense what you say.
So is it tomorrow specifically, or the first Monday of the year?
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow! I bet they had some in-depth statistics about that. Interesting. I'm gonna try not to make it too blue. So anyway, here's where you would see past created, open email, past install initiated, and then past installed. The success is right here, right?
We don't see the data quantic right now. Then.
Oh no! So it's like I said, it's a brand new program. This one is a one-of-a-kind program. Maybe one other person inside of Platinum has created the updated version of the Shopify loyalty, not the one we began 2 years ago, but actually this one, which is more robust, more precise. Before we needed to use a lot of Zapier, now we don't. So this program is practically sitting there until the decision makers give it the okay. It's the right time. They already took them through a lot of different tests and etc. and enhancements. So it's just a matter of knowing when is the right time for this. I've added an initiative that may contribute to the participation of this program that is worth noting. So how many people have watched that movie called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Because I haven't. I know about it. I just never watched it.
I haven't either.
So I know this little. I know that the movie revolves around a group of kids who are motivated, they're driven, their goal, their dream is to get that golden ticket inside of these chocolate bars, right? Very random prize. It's just one in the world. If you get that golden ticket, you got access to the actual chocolate factory, right? That was what the movie was about. So I took that sentiment and I ran it by them, said, hey, what if we mimic that, right? And we added, it's more than the functionality, it's more than the automations, is now an added flavor that could enhance that, right? And they don't get access to the natural slim factory. That would be boring. But there's a gentleman in front of that brand, Frank Suarez, or Manuel's father, who passed away almost a year ago. These people are followers of Frank Suarez because for years he provided value. He provided short videos on how to improve women's health in different areas with different products, but he never sold anything. He never really promoted something with the price and, buy one, get one, nothing like that. He provided the knowledge, right? So I said to Manuel and to Jorge, I said, hey, let's think about adding the golden ticket, quote unquote, element to this program, and one or two people get access to maybe memorabilia from Frank Suarez or not even product, right? It has to be something greater than, a bottle of vitamins. You need it to be something that makes them feel special. So they were very open about that. Even as I cringed when I sent that email, yeah, is this idea corny? Is this idea, ridiculous? They liked it. So it's a lot of lessons there. Don't ever think your marketing tactics are ridiculous. Don't ever think that, there's a dumb question. Sometimes I was that kid. I didn't want to raise my hand. I want to get it, drive attention to me. I don't want people to look at me. I don't want people to hear my accent, right? That robs you. That robbed me from, from conversations that might have been fruitful and significant, right? So here we go. How to get clients excited about mobile wallet, about loyalty, I should say, and how then you keep track of these outcomes, right? So here we see things a bit more granular, but if you have a restaurant where their team, their owner might not be as high maintenance or anal, as I sometimes say, about data and about, restaurant clients almost don't ever get excited about data. They get excited about numbers, but not about data, right? And the comparisons, etc. So for that, for restaurants, I measure things right inside of the mobile wallet platform. Let's go back to, is that it? Was this it? Yeah. Right inside of the software, we can see, some metrics that are enough, at least for the restaurant clients that I work with. Fernando, you may discover others that are more relevant, right?
Just another quick
So,
question.
yeah, sure.
Do you have an account for each customer that you have?
Yes,
It has to be a separate account. Okay.
yes. And that is directly associated to the Apple Developer Program terms.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
You have a one pass type ID per card.
correct. Yes.
Customer.
Yes. Per brand, if you will. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to have like a loyalty card and a coupon card for the same customer, do you have to have two pass types IDs?
No, that could be the same.
One per customer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that could be the same because it's if I interpret those terms of service correctly, they care more that the pass or the use of any given pass or program is directly tied to a brand, not so much as functions inside of that brand. So that is,
Okay.
yeah, basically, there are coaches, for instance, who may have a challenge at the beginning of the year, and maybe they have another one in the middle of the year. So they'll use the same exact program. They don't need to purchase it again. So yes, the pass type ID is the unique identifier for the use of mobile wallet programs. And also the pass type ID defines what that push notification reads Did any of you receive the push notification I sent 5 minutes prior to this session?
I did.
Sorry?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. So if you go to that push notification, or if you still have it there, or maybe the next time you see it, you'll see that before the actual content of my push, which is Mobile Wallet Day 3 training, starts in 5 minutes. Access Zoom link on the back of this pass. Right above that, it says DM Digital, right? The push came from an entity, a brand called DM Digital, right? So they need to associate not just the use of the pass or the program, but also they need to put the name of the brand on that push,
Okay.
right? So if I were to create a pass for I don't know, any given brand, for Fernando's restaurant or an e-commerce brand that you know, one of you guys hired me or hired someone else to do this for, it needs to have the name of that corresponding brand, right? It would look funny if it didn't, right? So that's practically the only rule that I need to understand, you know, in that document, right? And it makes it even more exciting where it abolishes, it knows the 24-hour rule. It resolves the number one, I would say, the number one challenge, the number one reason accounts get shut down. It's probably that one, right? So that's why I get so excited when it comes to sharing what I know. Sometimes I take it for granted, and other times I'm like, geez, this is really a pain in the ass. What if some people took the time to contemplate this, understand that this is not a black hat tactic, understand that this is a very elegant form of communication, right? That is creating results and that is resolving that need. So why? Because I know some of you guys will share it eventually with someone else, right? So ways to measure our success. Here's another way to measure more success, right? So we measured pass installs. Okay, so we're here inside of the mobile wallet account for La Katrina. And guys, that loyal customer base, it's not a huge group. It's not thousands of people. It's not 500. It's just a few hundred. A few hundred people are coming back every single time, and they're bringing more people, right? So here we see some basic numbers, right? As far as the pass installs and the points redeemed or the points earned, right? So if I'm reading this correctly, 136 people came back 349 times. I mean, that's a little generic there. It's not everybody. There's the possibility that a few people never came back, but that is the story that this is telling me, right? And staying with the restaurant metrics, of course, inside of our Gloria Food tool, we can see that there's a way to measure clients. And if we go, this is like from a week. Let me go back to when we started it. Remember clearly, because it was Cinco de Mayo, not of last year, but the year prior. Is the day they asked me to turn this thing off because they were having way too many orders in the restaurant. So it was May 5th of 2020. This is gonna choose from the first.
I guess they learned that the hard way.
And so did I.
You don't want to do nothing like that on Cinco de Mayo. It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be packed.
And so did I, right? The first time they asked me to turn it off, I didn't. I have to confess, I was very, driven to get the most sales and the most results, and I'm not gonna turn it off.
Not on Cinco de Mayo. It's gonna
Oh.
be packed anyways. It's crazy.
Dude, we had people line up outside of the restaurant.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I actually recorded a video because I went to the print shop to print a QR code. And when I came back, there's people lined up outside of the restaurant. I had to make a video of that.
Yeah,
So
when we were in the pandemic, we were not allowed to have people dining in. It was
Right.
just carry out and delivery through DoorDash. But there was a
Yes.
lot of people inside the restaurant, so someone called the police, and we had the police inside the
Oh.
restaurant. And the police was like, "Well, you have to do something. What should I do?" I was like, "There's just a lot of people inside the restaurant." So he made everyone go outside and make a line outside.
Mm.
It was just crazy. But yeah, that's Cinco de Mayo. You don't want to do. I mean, it's crazy. It's the craziest day of the year for us.
Yes. So that
Yeah.
added, extra special sauce to the recipe, and I didn't know a whole lot about restaurants and about some of the operations. I just wanted results. And the second time they asked me to turn it off, he was a bit more serious. And he said, Danny, I'd rather have a person who didn't get to order than a person who ordered and got the wrong food, got
Yep.
the wrong tortilla, right?
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me now, and not only for restaurants but different brands, but I just didn't see it the way, or I hadn't heard it the way I heard it from this frustrated restaurant owner. Not frustrated because not so much frustrated because I didn't listen to him the first time, but because the result could have been more than one people upset at the end of that holiday, at the end of that, special date where, everybody becomes Mexican that day. Yeah, have a bad, have a bad experience, have a bitter experience because they didn't get what they ordered, and I understood it. There was no more explanation that I needed. It made total sense, and I complied. So loyalty by the numbers. Here's where we see up until here, and I'll tell you what happened here. Here we can see up to, I guess you can say up to here, an almost consistent growth in new clients and returning clients. That paints a picture, that paints a story, right? Because a new client this month is not a new client this month. So he or she doesn't get counted twice. But that number or that group of new customers and existing customers consistently, almost consistently. I don't want to say consistently because there's maybe it's a drop here and a drop here, but it's not so big. But overall, it paints a growth curve, right? Here, October, if I understand correctly, that was when Facebook had their shutdown, right? Like everything, Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms were dead. And it got turned on later on that day, but the integration between our tools and our platforms did not get turned on as quickly. Actually took, I think it was a week and a half. I opened this, was curious. I don't always check at the end of the month. Yeah, I sometimes get a glimpse how we doing. I was like, what the hell? And learning opportunity. The Facebook blackout demanded that I double checked and triple checked that all of the functions among platforms, it's good as intended, and it didn't affect our results as it did here, right? Needless to say, November and December, kind of slow, but I wanted to show how this is a way that we can measure the success of our intentions, right? It's not theory, it's not, it's very measurable. Let's just say that everything we do is very measurable. And here's another way to track your success. This one is very involved, and it's probably going to be implemented for brands who have the budgets to hire you for this type of analytics. And oops, analytics.google. For the most part, up until maybe 6 to 8 months ago, I had been reluctant, I had been scared, I had been intimidated by Google Analytics, by the platform, because it's just so robust. And once again, when the brain sees too many numbers, too many charts, and it doesn't understand, it just gets scared. It's just repelling, right? I don't know if I'm the only one, but it was because I wasn't reading these numbers in an organized manner, in a way that it told me a story. It was messy, right? So when I started to understand more about the needs, not just of Natural Slim, not just of any agency partner that hires for this type of stuff, but around the world, because of the iOS updates, because of the Facebook pixel being more limited, we have heard, we have read these past few months, we have heard teams asking questions on how to accurately read these results, right? Sometimes Facebook gives you skewed metrics that are like, wait a second, but why is this higher than this? And in my analytics, it says something different in Google, right? So in order for us to provide a better result than we did the previous month, we needed to understand that those metrics are accurate, right? Otherwise, it would be like you're driving at a certain speed, but your speedometer is telling you something different, right? That's dangerous. That is that could make your campaigns dysfunctional, right? You're thinking that you're going a certain speed. You're thinking that your conversion rates are, you know, are favorable, but in fact, either they're inaccurate or they could, or you could be reading false positives, as we have learned. So I'm probably going to spend a few minutes, not too long here, because the Google Analytics rehab workshop that I will be putting to market at the end of the month is going to go in depth. We're going to get our hands greasy with data, right? And it's not until we get our hands greasy with data that we begin to give it the attention it deserves, that we begin to get excited about, the things that we are able now to define and measure so that we can get better, right? And I saw this recently. A lot of brands were complaining, were wondering, and they were evading Google Analytics. So I said, you know what? I want to learn this so well, implement it to clients like, let's see if I can pull my clients here. Am I in the right account? I believe it's this one. I hate when that happens. What's my password? Okay. So I'll create this later. Just want to get in here. What happened, Jax? It's about that time. My dog is complaining. Okay, so on this account, or on this, I guess on this account, I have managed the, why did it change again? I have managed the analytics for e-commerce brands, as well as, well, I guess you can say he's an e-commerce brand, but David Kingsbury, he's a personal trainer of Hugh Jackman, the guy who played Wolverine. And when I got hired to do what I do, I saw a lot of holes in the bucket, a lot of holes, a lot of metrics that weren't paying attention to, a lot of junk, to be honest, that he and his team needed to know. I needed to make them aware. The very same, with the very same, with the very same new found knowledge I had about Google Analytics and how to structure these metrics, I then managed the metrics for Natural Swim, right? So their Achilles heel was Google Analytics, and that was I wasn't feeling too easy about highlighting ManyChat's top performing agency of 2020 and their huge talented team that are doing so many things right, something that they're not paying attention to, and it was Google Analytics. When I did though, they were grateful. They admitted that it's been a while, especially since iOS updates. They haven't done much, so things needed to change. And here's where I'm going to highlight some things. This could get a bit, I don't want to say difficult. I don't want to say too advanced, because it's not. It's just new, right? It's just new. So for Google Analytics, I needed to create the right structure, just similar to what we saw inside ManyChat with those tags, and those tags triggered a rule, and those rules now become quantifiable inside of a dashboard that our brain it's easier to digest this progress in such a way, right? So very similar to that. I don't want to say is the same, but it's similar to that. There are, for Google Analytics, there is the account, and then there are, properties. This column, let me make this a little bigger. Actually, let me go back here. Okay. Account, properties, views. If you can understand that structure, you're ahead of the game. Account, property, and views. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these functions, because I say that for that workshop. That workshop is actually going to be 4 weeks, and that's mostly B2B, and that also is going to have a price tag. So, and it's going to be very personalized. It's not a cookie cutter, do this, implement this, and you're done. This is going to be hands-on with teams and defining what the structure is going to look like for brands, because it's not going to be always the same. Some of the same segments may exist, but not the same elements. If that makes sense, if that doesn't make sense too much right now, it will later. So here's where I have views, properties. And we have changed again. I want to do natural swim. Okay. So there's a GA4 type of property and a universal property. That's just Google's way of saying we're complicated. They name things like that for a reason. They're just different. It's just measuring different metrics, basically. And inside each of these properties, I've created another structure inside of views. So views for this brand, I wanted to view is what you see in the reports, right? Those are the outcomes, right? What kind of outcomes did I want to see on those reports? So I wanted to see top of funnel view, right? And with top of funnel, came specific metrics, right? Here we're seeing top of funnel view and different goals, right? Different outcomes that I want to measure and filters, right? Google Analytics is so analytical, let's just say that it measures everything. Even inside of a specific view, it could give me a report that is not easy to understand. A data report that is not easy to understand, it's not actionable, right? It's, how can we make adjustments if we are doubtful? If we're like, this may enhance this outcome, but then it may not. And let's just try it. And, it just doesn't happen that way. But when we have the appropriate filters, so it doesn't give us false positives, it doesn't give us different traffic sources where they're irrelevant for this specific initiative, then we have cleaner reports that are easier to understand and they're more actionable. You're more certain about the things that you need to adjust, that you need to turn on or turn off, because you're being very peculiar about what you're reading in these reports. So with that, it comes a setup that takes time. It takes some consulting with teams. Not everything that I deem super important is super important for some teams. And there are other things that I may highlight that are super important that they have probably neglected in the past. So views. So that was the top of funnel view. We have a top. Didn't have a middle. Wait a second. I see top and bottom. I don't see mid.
Danny?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I only wanted to tell you thanks for everything. I need to go.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. And yeah, you guys, thanks for letting me know, but you guys don't have to let me know. The recording will be available, I think tomorrow, because I don't have them in order, and there's one video that I needed to enhance. So I want to be able to share the recording of something that is that's easier to understand, right? So yeah, feel free, get some rest, man.
Yeah.
Have a happy and not so blue Monday tomorrow.
Same for you guys.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, now I remembered. I don't have a middle. This is because I'm the one managing. I definitely know this. The pass install for the loyalty program for Natural Slim, the top click, the top, what originates that, it's a purchase, as we reviewed, right? And then that purchase initiates that pass creation and that pass install, right? In essence, that becomes my top of funnel metrics that I see in data quantics, right? Those are my top of funnel metrics. So now the middle of the funnel metrics, I should probably correct this. The middle of the funnel metrics become this, and the bottom of the funnel metrics, of course, is bottom of the funnel, right? I was a bit confused there why the middle was missing. And bottom of the funnel view also has its own set of unique goals of unique filters. And here it is. We hear this phrase quite a lot, which is the multi-channel funnel settings. What this is basically, it's taking metrics from other channels and it's combining them and it's showing them in a way that's relevant. So you don't have to look at different data boards, right? One in the screen, one in another screen, on a computer, whatever. And then it's more difficult to make a decision that's going to impact that outcome in a favorable way. So I needed to create a first click model of, wait a second, 1 second, it's not it. And I know this is maybe beyond the scope of this training, but just briefly wanted to illustrate that there's a structure for every single brand that you would have to create along with their team of that brand. If it's no team, it's going to be you yourself. So for your own sake and sanity and favorable outcomes, you're able to read these reports in a more accurate manner, in a way that is actionable, and you'll have a happy client, right? Let me resolve this real quick because I'm so confused right now. Where is that which I created? I don't want to keep you guys here looking at my troubleshooting. So it's beyond the scope. Let me take a note to either review or I'm looking at the wrong property here. Let me see in a second. This is me talking to myself right now. There were more properties here. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, now I remember. They had created this account under a product name. And it was one of these properties which is actually measuring clicks and outcomes inside us.naturalslim.com. And that was this, yeah, it was this one. Boom. Oh, yes. Okay, I'll find it and I'll resolve that because I'm taking precious time from you guys. Any question so far on how do we measure loyalty campaigns success so far?
No, I think I do have to get more into Google Analytics.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
And I think we all do. I think that is, in my estimation, one of the tools that is accessible to every one of us, except it's so robust that
Exactly.
we don't get excited about it, right? We don't get excited. And now because of these changes, these external changes with iOS, which allows consumers like you and I to opt out from the operating system tracking your behavior, your clicks, your preferences in most apps, not every single one, but in most apps, that consumer protection of privacy has in fact created a a challenge, a huge challenge for marketers who were very, very dependent on the pixel, that were very, very dependent on metrics that were superficial and not so granular. So when it became more expensive to reach your desired prospect, much less to convert that prospect into a client, much less to retarget that new buyer, it became more expensive across the board, right? So teams
Exactly.
were seeing this, right? Like, what the hell? Like, we're not achieving the same results as we used to. Google Analytics was not the first option that people ran to, right? You see it almost every day. Here's the solution. Here's the guide. Here's the, this. And some of these solutions may have worked for their projects temporarily or not. But across the board, I think that all of us need to be more versatile when it comes to Google Analytics. The same, maybe a little bit more enhanced, the same consultation time that I spent with the team at AGM, because AGM is the actual agency. It's now our agency partners who manage monster accounts, including Natural Slim, Damon John's trainings, Ezra's. Is the same that I'm going to be providing to the marketplace, right? For other agencies, for other people who want to enhance the way they understand and act upon data, right? Because that's analytics. It's easy to look at a chart and say, hey, here, let me see, let me make fun of myself. Boom. It's easy to say or to present in front of a board meeting or whatever. Here we had 68,000 users. Well, no shit, it's like right there, right? And here we had this much revenue, right? I mean, yeah, but right? Analytics is the actual interpretation and action that comes after that, after the interpretation. If we see a bunch of numbers that are scrambled that I just don't know where they came from, I don't, they might be irrelevant. I can't make a decision that's going to be effective. I might get lucky, but I'd rather be super anal about analytics and provide my clients and agency partners with stuff that nobody can change, right? And with this, I leave this training. There's one formula that defines whether our marketing is being effective or not. And I think that, Spencer, I think that I share that formula in me answering one of your questions inside of the ManyChat group. And I just want to type it.
Actually, it's just not the two of us now.
Sorry?
It's just the two of us now. I believe Spencer, yeah, he had to go.
Oh, okay. So I don't know who's here, but I just wanted to type it, but I'll find somewhere else to type it. Let's type it here on Facebook. I'm gonna actually write a post on that right now. Out of all the metrics that exist or will ever exist, it's only one formula that defines whether our marketing is being effective or not. And that is, let's see if I remember. the cost per acquisition of a new client needs to be less, right? Needs to be less
Mhm.
than the average order value. That's it. But if we simplify it to the most simple mathematical formula, is that if it costs me more to get a client and my average order value is lower than that, I'm losing. I'm consistently losing, right? So in a world that we're inundated with data, with numbers and charts, we need to keep this in the forefront, right? Because some of those numbers will be part of that formula. Not all of them are, and not every campaign is. But if we keep this in the forefront of everything we do, we're not just going to be, let me quit. We're not just going to be bot builders. We're going to be data analytics, and that is an added value in today's playing field, right? I think that in my estimation, first came the mechanics of ManyChat, right? What can be done? In that came understanding compliance, etc. But what can be done with ManyChat? In which channels? That's constantly evolving, right? So there's the mechanics within, right? Then I needed to learn and understand strategic wise. Where is this bot going to fit in an overall marketing spectrum for this brand, right? Where I'm going to put it and at what time, and without disrupting what they already have. Became very, very strategic. And I think that now this is a glimpse of the next level, and it's analytics. It's not just how many people subscribe to my bot, but the entire customer journey that, because of the recent updates, a slice of that journey is taken away. A slice of that data is unseen. So I need to create a structure to be as precise as I can so I can be more accurate and more effective. So I went a bit longer than I intended to. I usually do. But you have any questions in closing?
No, I don't think so. I guess well, going back to the past type ID, once I get it, I may have questions. I'm pretty sure I will.
Oh, trust me, I have questions to this day.
So yeah, I guess I'll get in touch with you and I'll play with the mobile wallet software.
Yes, absolutely. I also used to say play with a new tool or whatever, but I learned not to say that, right? I learned not to say that for my own sake, for my own brain, not to hear that, because play is play, right? Play. We're
What do you
working.
say?
Yeah, we're working.
That's true.
With
That's
that,
true.
yeah, because I play marbles. I play, I used to. We're enhancing our knowledge base. We're enhancing our own operating system. We have now a little bit of information more than other people in the community. So yeah, we're working. It might not be a live program. It might not be the end result, but we're working towards it, right? It gives my brain a little bit more commitment, a little bit more responsibility, and even when the times come when I don't really want to do the things that I need to do. It's just that simple.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna learn how to use it.
Absolutely, yes, yes. That is it. Yeah, feel free to reach out. If I can resolve your questions, I feel happy to. And if I can't, I'll point you to someone who will. So, man, you were the first one on here and the last one to leave. I
I'm telling you, I'm
definitely pay
committed.
attention to things like that, man. I definitely pay
Committed.
attention to. No, seriously, seriously.
No, thank you, Danny. Thanks for your
Absolutely,
time.
Fernando. Have a good one, and I'm here for you should you need me.
Yeah, take care. Have a good
All
night.
right, take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.